From the basement of the Hotbeds Guide to the Galaxy world headquarters located in northern Colorado, this is the Hotbeds Guide podcast. I'm Matt Reber, and today I'm joined in the studio with David Rodriguez, owner of the Comedy Fort, Fort Collins' newest and only comedy club. David Rodriguez, owner, Comedy Fort, soon to be in Fort Collins, but Fort Comedy already in Fort Collins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got a regular show at the Aggie and a weekly show at the Colorado Room every Thursday.
So it's called Comedy Fort.
Yeah, that's the venue. The brand we've been doing shows under for the last couple of years is Fort Comedy, and we want it to be really just, kind of Fort Collins centric. You know, we got a lot of local restaurants and breweries and distilleries and hotels and stuff that we're gonna have involved with the process and make it a family type thing. So I wanted to keep Fort in the name, and so Comedy Fort just seemed like a logical name.
All right, and you're the owner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
me co-owner with Patrick Lowry. He's another local comic / entrepreneur, and he will be the GM. He'll be there on the ground every day, and I'll be doing the booking and the marketing and the branding and stuff like that.
So let's talk a little bit about your new project. So you've been doing Fort Comedy.
Yeah.
You said you have shows at the Aggie on a weekly basis?
Monthly. Monthly. I think we've taken a couple months off, but pretty much monthly for the last 3 years. We've been bringing in big name headliners to Fort Collins.
You have had some. You had Josh. I know. I saw Josh Blue.
Yeah, Josh Blue. We've had Nick Swartzen. Kyle Kinane's done the show twice. Beth Stelling, who's one of my favorite comics in the country, has done it. I think like over 20. I think big names, and like we get them as they come in to do comedy works on the weekend. Yeah. We'll get them for like we'll get them on a Wednesday or Sunday or whatever on either side, which has been pretty nice.
That's awesome. So I met you playing poker in our weekly poker game.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you wouldn't even play. You'd just come and deal cards and listen to our bullshit. And honestly, when you told me that you were pursuing comedy, I kind of thought that you were joking about that.
Yeah,
that wasn't something you were really serious about. But we started going to your open mics, and you're an excellent comedian.
Oh, thanks.
What drew you to comedy?
It was kind of one of those things that, like, you don't realize that that's something that you can just do,
right?
Because every comedian that the average person is familiar with is probably super famous for you to have heard of them, right? Like growing up, all I ever knew was Seinfeld and Chris Rock and George Carlin and people like that, and you're like, oh, they're celebrities. You can't just go be a celebrity. And then somebody took me to my first open mic at Lions Lair on Colfax in Denver. And it's like 11 p.m. on a Monday. And I'm like, oh, literally anybody is allowed to try this.
Sure.
Anybody's allowed to do this at all. And so I became fascinated with the idea of trying that. And I went to open mics for an embarrassingly long time without going up. Like, several months of just going and watching. And then I finally did my first one at Hodie's up here in Fort Collins. And it's the type of thing that just clicked. It was like I got off stage and I felt like this is what I've wanted to do my whole life, but I didn't know it until just right now.
Yeah.
Like I did drama club in high school, and getting laughs was always fun, and improvising and, being witty has always been kind of my personality type. And it just made sense. And I fell in love with it immediately, and I haven't stopped thinking about it since.
I mean, it's really become your life.
Yeah, for sure.
I went to one of your first open mics that you know, where you were competing.
Yeah, Yum Yums.
Yeah, at Yum Yums.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you were a natural. You really
thanks.
were. I mean, you were fantastic up there. And there were a couple of times where I felt like you should have won, and, you know, prop comics end up winning it. But
Yeah, we don't speak his name.
Thou shall not be spoken.
Yeah.
But, you know, you just really are a natural, and you've made it your life. You're traveling now. You're doing shows outside of Northern Colorado.
Yeah, I just got back. I was headlining a weekend in Austin last week, and it was so much fun. And I got a couple other things coming up. I'm, you know, gearing up to not book stuff the rest of the year so that we can really focus as soon as construction gets underway, and we'll, you know, work towards the grand opening and stuff. But as soon as it gets up and running, I plan to still do stand-up and not be there every day, which is nice that I have a partner that's willing to, you know, be there and oversee everything closely.
Right.
So that I can still do jokes.
I mean, because really that's why you're doing it. Is it's not just about the comedy club, right? It's about being part of the community.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's about, I mean, it's still a networking tool for me that I can bring in comedians that I love and respect and get to know them on a personal level, being the club owner, and bringing them in, paying them to do, you know, great shows that they'll remember and spread the word about, so that we can keep bringing in more and more people.
Yeah. Fort Collins hasn't had a comedy club in a long time.
Yeah, almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years, right? And it was Comedy Works that had the last one.
Yep.
So, I mean, why now? Why do you think it's a good time to bring a comedy club to Fort Collins now?
It just feels like there's a need for it. When I started 5 years ago, we had the 2 open mics, and I think there was 1 monthly showcase in the basement of Wild Boar Cafe, and that's it. Those are the only shows.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, almost immediately, like 6 months in, I think, my buddy Kyle Pogue started a show, and he showed me the space, and I was like, can I please be involved with this show? And it was packed. And we did another one, and it was packed. And he started another show, and that was packed. And like every single show that's been started by anybody, like pretty much has success with any amount of work put into it. Like we can't seem to find the saturation point. Like I started this, so now we have a weekly show at the Colorado Room, and it comfortably seats like 60 people, and we have, 100 plus every week. Standing room only every week. So I'm like, there's, if we could focus, there's 40 to 50 shows and mics every month now in Fort Collins. And if we could just focus that all into one location, that people don't have to look up a calendar to find out where to go for stand-up. They just know that there's a club. They're like, oh, let's go there. Like, I think it's a pretty straightforward recipe for success.
Yeah. And what night is the one at the Colorado Room? Thursday nights?
Thursdays, yeah. Every Thursday at 8.
That's I never get to go to that show because it's on poker night.
Yeah.
There's always
and I never get to go to poker. But I'm still in the group text all these years later. I'm like, hey guys,
you can't, once you're in the group text, you can't get out. I don't want to be part of it either, and I can't get out of it. It's impossible, unfortunately. So you're stuck there, whether you like it or not. Just post a little
I'll just start posting
smart remark.
Yeah, I'll just start posting like YouTube clips of my stand up in the group chat. Like, hey guys, can't make it, but throw this a like and subscribe.
So what is the plan for Comedy Fort? Where are you looking at?
We got a space that we're looking at in Old Town, and it's not finalized yet, so we don't want to necessarily blast the location, but it's a basement space, and we're modeling it after the Downtown Comedy Works and the Comedy Cellar in New York. We want that small, intimate feel, about 150 seats, and it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a cool space.
Yeah. Sounds like it. I love the feel of those smaller places because you actually feel like you're kind of part of the show as opposed to just being in a giant theater,
right,
and observing comedy.
Yeah, you buy a ticket and you watch a performance in a big theater, but in a small club, it's like you're there. You're no bad seats in the house. Like at any point, the comic on stage could just look over and like talk to you if and
I hate that.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
That's why I never sit anywhere near the front in a comedy show because I'm always afraid that I'm going to be the one that gets picked up. I'm a bearded guy, so there's always beard jokes.
Yeah.
I'm chubby. There's always fat jokes.
Yeah, but
There's
I mean,
always something.
Yeah, but this is Colorado. You blend right in with that.
It's true. It's like camouflage.
Yeah. But yeah, for the most part, what I found is you do have to invite it if you want to get talked to. Like, unless the set is going bad and the comic just has to bail and talk to the crowd. For the most part, if you don't want to interact, like the person on stage is like, okay, I get it. Which is, for the most part, there are exceptions to that, and it can be hilarious.
What I'm sure you've gotten heckled before.
Yeah, of course.
I mean,
I just did a show when I was in Austin. So I was at the Velveeta Room, which is attached to Esther's Follies on 6th Street, and it was awesome. The shows were great. And in between one of the shows on Saturday, I went to the Fallout Theater, which there's a monthly show there. It's called Off Script, run by this great comic, Ariel Norman. And the concept of the show is the audience is encouraged to heckle. Oh. And like they have prizes given out for like the best and most creative heckle, like in between comics. Yeah, and so it is aggressive, and they put like they pull like a personal picture from your Facebook and like put it up behind you with your credits.
So they
and
give
stuff,
them ammunition on top of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I was watching it. I was up third, and I was watching. I was like, oh, this is wild. Like I don't know how this is gonna go. And I got up and it was fun, and I like played with the crowd a little bit, but then like I've spent years hosting and like whipping crowds into shape and getting them to shut up and pay attention and stuff.
Right.
And like that instinct kind of like kicked in, and I just went into material and just overpowered everybody that was like trying to say stuff. And like like midway through, everybody was silent and respectful and like laughing. And I just finished out my joke to a normal crowd. And I got backstage and all the comics were like, how did you do that? Like what, that's not, nobody's ever done material on this show.
Right.
So I have that. And like the part of it is like kind of a paternal parental, like, hey, you get that stern voice and everybody like kind of pays attention.
I will turn this comedy show around.
Yeah. Don't make me, I just got out of my house. Don't make me. But yeah. So yeah, I've definitely been heckled, but that's one thing with show producing is you try to cultivate that professional atmosphere where people respect it as a show and not like something that's happening also where they are out to eat with friends. You face all the chairs towards the stage, you turn down the lights on the crowd, turn the light up on the stage, make sure there's good sound, a bunch of little things that all come together to give the audience cues that they don't even know that are there, but like it's cueing them to shut up and pay attention and be respectful.
Yeah. And that's I went to a couple comedy shows before with people who have never been to comedy shows, and they're literally trying to have a conversation with me in the middle of the show, and I'm like, no, you pay attention to the stage. We're not talking right now. And I mean, granted, there was one comedian that was up there that was very bad.
Sure.
And
the girl, you want to tune out.
The girl that was with me was like, he's just not very good. Like, why can't we just have a conversation? I was like, it's still rude, even if they're bad. Yeah. It's still rude. Like, try not to draw attention to us right now, because then we'll become the topic of his jokes. And sure enough, she got shushed by the comedian, which I'd never seen before. Nice. I'd never seen anybody get shushed by a comedian before. Yeah,
you come up with a lot of creative ways to tell people. We'll just start our show. Like, our show has so much momentum and so many people are there for it that we can just, like, when we open it, I got a co-host, we'll be like, round of applause if you've been here before, and most people will clap. Be like, okay, round of applause if this is your first time. And then a couple people will clap. Be like, okay, welcome. Round of applause if you didn't know there was going to be a comedy show here. And then anybody that claps, you should be like, shut up. Shut the no. Just sing along, just let everybody know how it's gonna. That's the job of the host, is to get everybody on the same page and lay the ground rules.
What about Comedy Fort is going to be unique?
There are really no clubs in the country that are owned by active comics. Right. It's all people that start businesses, and the bottom line, the dollar is the point of it. They want to get you in. They want to extract as much money as possible and get you out and start the next show. Yeah. And this is going to be the trend that I've found talking to big headliners that tour a lot and might be too big for clubs, but still play these smaller places. They'll do that because of the quality of the show. Like there's a place called Good Comedy Theater in Philadelphia that's like an 80-seat venue, but like Maria Bamford will go and do shows there because she likes it, because it's a cool place for her to work on new material, even though she can command, a 5,000-seat theater easily.
Yeah.
So my goal is to be respected as a place like that puts the comedians first, and so they have a good time and they have a great show, and then the audience, it just trickles down from there, and the audience benefits from that and has a great experience, and then they go tell their friends. So it's going to be less about $15 cocktails and more about great comedy.
Right. But you are going to charge $15 for cocktails.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
minimum.
That's expected.
Yeah.
2 drink minimum, $15 a cocktail.
9 drink minimum. You just give us your card and we'll tell you when you're done. I was fighting hard to not have a drink minimum, but I think to keep ticket prices down and to be able to offer like free tickets and stuff, that we're going to have that. But
right.
We definitely will be keeping the consumer in mind with prices and having everything be reasonable while still offering a great variety from local, breweries and stuff like I mentioned before.
And that, that's great, because you have such a great source of local craft beers and distilleries. That's another thing that I think could be unique about it is the fact that it's in a town that craft beer, craft distilleries are welcomed. So,
yeah. I've got good friends at New Belgium. I've got good friends at Odell's. Maxline Brewery has been a partner with shows in the past. So we're looking forward to using those relationships to bring cool beers and products into the showroom for sure. Nice.
So do you have an idea of an opening date yet, or?
We're trying to be open before the end of the year. If we get our lease executed in the next couple weeks, we are hoping to be open by early December. That's our target date currently, but everything's pretty much up in the air. You can follow along. We got a Facebook page, The Comedy Fort, and we announce and everything through that, and social media, at The Comedy Fort. If anybody's curious for updates, and as soon as we start construction, we'll have a lot of great content from that.
And you have an IndieGoGo campaign going.
We do
now.
Currently, yeah. It's got about 3 weeks left on it. We made a ridiculous video for it that you just have to check out.
Yeah, if you go to IndieGoGo and you just search for Comedy Fort, it comes up there.
Yeah, Fort Collins Comedy.
Yeah, and you have some really, you have some good rewards there. You're not just saying give me money. There's actually some reward for it.
Yeah, when we were putting it together, I showed it to a bunch of people before we published it, and everybody's like, "Well, you're giving away too much stuff." And I was like, "Okay, perfect. That's what I want." Because I'm a broke comic, and I was like, I would want a lot of my network is comedians that are going to support it because they want a cool place to perform, and so a lot of it was kind of tailored to them, and trying to get my friends to pitch in money. Like you can just for $25, you can get your name printed on the wall inside the showroom in a big cool mural of everybody that helped found it.
Yeah.
And we're giving away tickets and custom art T-shirts and sweatshirts and stuff like that.
And you can put your name on a chair. Is that one of them?
Yeah. That's something that comes from theaters.
Yeah.
From the old timey times. when they were opening a new theater, you could sponsor a seat and get your name on a plaque in the showroom, and so that's what we're doing. We've had a couple of people buy them already. And
can you kick someone out of your seat if you go to a show? Can you be like, no, sorry, that's my seat. Literally, it's got my name on it.
I mean, so far with the number of people that have done it, that would be a manageable thing to do. I feel like. But yeah, we'll see. If all of them get sold, then that would be chaos. But as of right now, that is the plan. To be like, yep, that's your reserved seat.
Nice.
If we know you're coming and we see that you bought a ticket through the thing, that shouldn't be a difficult thing to keep that open, which I'm excited about.
Right on. So you've been doing comedy shows all over. Where's your favorite place to perform?
Besides Fort Collins?
I mean, obviously Fort Collins is going to be
Colorado. I've gotten to travel across the country now, and Colorado crowds are so good and warm and smart and receptive to comedy compared to lots of other places. Like LA is so famous for comedy, and that's where you got to go to like make it, quote unquote. But a lot of their crowds are garbage. Like just like I don't. They're just kind of stuffy or too cool to laugh at some. I can't explain.
We can laugh at ourselves a little bit, I think, in Colorado.
Yeah. Everybody's just more laid back in Colorado, in a good way. I was in Minneapolis, and I did some shows in Minneapolis, and those were incredible. The crowds there were great. I feel like it's anywhere that the producer puts effort into the show to make it a good show, the crowd can be great. Yeah.
Well, I think. I have to agree with you. I think Colorado's just made for comedy. We've got such a diverse group of people that you have to have some sort of sense of humor to live here, just for the fact that there's so many different types of people that live here. So you have to have at least a little bit of a sense of humor.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, right on. Well, is there anything else we need to know about Comedy Fort?
Yeah, the Comedy Fort. Yeah, just follow us on social media for the updates. Join our mailing list and get all the information for when we open, and we hope to see you at a show.
Nice. It's a cool project, man. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, thanks for letting me come on and talk about
it. I hope that in the future we're able to get you back in here and talk about after it opens.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some of the comedians that you have coming.
Yeah, we'll bring some comedians down here and give them some beer,
you guys
some beer that I can't drink. I'll get some people here that can do that and be fun.
Drunk comedians are fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's great. Comedy festivals. I've been to a couple comedy festivals, and that's always a wild time when you get like 50 comedians all in one place with no other work obligations or whatever. They just cut loose and have fun and riff and dunk on each other, and it's the best time.
Yeah. Is it brutal? I mean, being around other comedians, is it like brutal back and forth, or are comedians generally like respectful towards each other?
No, not at all. It's open season on everybody at all times. My buddy got divorced, and it was just like immediately like, oh man, he got divorced, and he was getting rid of. He was getting rid of some of his workout stuff, like in his garage, because he was downsizing and moving. And he made a post, and he's like, "Hey, I've got to get rid of this heavy bag. If anybody wants it." And the first comment under it was like, "Oh, I thought you just did that in the court system." It was just like days after. But yeah, I mean, that's just how we express our affection towards each other. Like, we respect you enough to just say pretty much anything.
Yeah. Yeah. That's Hey, Irving, why now?
Oh, is he gotta go poop?
No, he just likes to scratch and be obnoxious on the rug. So all right, Dave. Well, thanks for joining me, man.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited, and I can't wait. I'm still trying to decide which package I'm going to buy, but now that I know that the seat I'm allowed to kick people out of my seat, I'm eyeing that one now. So
yeah, you're just gonna say Reber only.
Yeah.
Just say not your seat. Have it engraved on there.
There we go. All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Hey there, hopheads and beer geeks. Reber here to tell you about Beerds by Nick. Beerds by Nick makes all of the great products you need to get your beard looking great. Everything from beard wash, mustache wax, beard oil, beard combs, and even beard wipes. Beerds by Nick products are handcrafted using only the finest ingredients, and it's all done right here in Northern Colorado. Go to beardsbynick.com, BEERDS, beardsbynick.com. Use the promo code GalaxyHops at checkout.